Is Alabama in trouble? Are we seeing the end of the Nick Saban era? I don't know, but I talked to about it with my man Coop. All that coming up in about 10 seconds. What is good, everybody? It's your boy Jay here with Unfair Sports, talking OU football, college football, and sports in general. And in this video, we're going to talk about the Tennessee-Alabama game. Y'all know I'm excited because I'm a Tennessee fan as well. And me and my man Coop's going to discuss the Nick Saban era and what does it look like? Is it coming to an end? Is it going to continue? I'm truly curious about that, as well as your thoughts. Jump in the comment. Let us know what you think about this current era with Nick Saban. You'll hear my opinion a little bit later, as well as Coop's. But we definitely want to know what you feel about it, so we can hit you all up in the comments a little later. Also, hit the like and subscribe button while you're here, and share, because sharing is caring. So let's get started. Okay, there were some games this weekend. I've got 4 that I want to talk about. We're going to talk about the greatness of how the Big 12 is playing on top of with USC. But I think the game of the week was that Tennessee-Alabama game. So, as y'all know, my other team, my SEC team, has always been Tennessee since I was a little kid. Just like you all, I picked a team that was going to break my heart for the rest of my life, like 8 or 9 years old. And watch this team just rip my heart out, just like Oklahoma has ripped my heart out in a lot of situations. But this game, Tennessee, Alabama, in Neyland, down there in Knoxville, in Neyland Stadium, this was the year that a lot of talking heads, including myself as a talking head in the media, has said this is probably the year Tennessee's going to win. Josh Heupel has put together. It looks effective. It looks like it's going to work long term. And they won this game in a thriller. So I would like to say that, let's see how I can say this, that Bryce Young didn't play very well. Bryce Young was amazing in this game. 455 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he could not overcome Hendon Hooker, who was 385, less yards, 5 touchdowns, and all of them going to Jalen Hyatt, who was out there cooking on the deep ball. The one that Alabama has shown they I was listening to Joe Clapp talk about this with Colin, as well as on his show, that the problem that Alabama has had was exposed in that Texas game at the beginning of the season. When Quinn Ewers was out there launching that thing to Xavier Worthy, they're just dumb boys. And I told a few people after that, that's what Tennessee's going to do. That's Tennessee's game. They literally throw 40 yards all the time as if it's a 2-yard run, like it's a run up the middle. That's their play call that Heupel has done with Hooker, because he trust him to throw those passes. So watching that game, screaming, I literally just got back from Vegas, this book, watching that, it was awesome there. It was great to see Tennessee knock on the giant that they haven't beaten 15 years since Saban's gotten there. So his first loss on the third Saturday in October. Mwah. Do you think Tennessee has a chance to actually do something long term?
So you start out with this. Hendon Hooker is like a 26-year-old quarterback, and this dude is
grown.
He's a man, bro. They did this without their best receiver, Tennessee.
No Cedric Tillman. No Cedric Tillman at all.
No one wasn't there. So, I will say this: this was a yeoman's outer body experience from Bryce Young. He is the Heisman winner. He is the man. He is working with Jamar Gibbs, and that's his one guy. They've got some, Cameron Latsu is great too. But again,
he got a tight end and a running back, and that's
it. And you've got even one of the receivers, and I forget the kid's name, but he's getting investigated for maybe punching a fan after the game. So, you've got situations like that. And again, that's what I say. Alabama, it's starting to look like there's some shaky stuff happening. Tennessee has been doing this to everybody this year. They showed flashes of it last year. So I will say this year, Tennessee is a legitimate contender. What can Josh Heupel do going forward next year and beyond? I'm still waiting on that, because he's got a big NIL $8 million kid coming out of California, I believe. Nico. And he is going, when he shows up, he's going to be a freshman, and he is good. He's shown out at the quarterback competitions, the Elite 11. A lot of people say that he was right behind a certain somebody coming to Oklahoma, and so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But as far as this year, they do have playmakers. I saw a lot of people on the message boards talking about what it's like to have a pass rush and to be able to create a pass rush. But I don't think either of these two teams need to be like, pointing out the defenses, because this isn't Clemson, Alabama national championship, letting it all out of the bag. I mean, you knew that you were coming up against two defenses here, and neither of them played very well. And if I'm not wrong, I got to check here, is both of them. Alabama had 569 yards of offense. Tennessee, 567 yards of offense.
Yep.
If we gave that up, people would be grabbing the pitchforks and the torches and the old fire Brent Venables, fire Ted Roof game. Now, is TCU offense the same thing, or Texas offense the same thing as Alabama with Bryce Young? I don't think so. But at the same time, there's a lot of people tie really, really good defense to Alabama, and there's now multiple games here recently that they haven't brought that to the table. And that's with Will Anderson, who may be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Oh, and Will Anderson's the number 1 pick in the draft, period. He's the best player in college football. And you're right, they're not playing that defensive standard that we used to. Is their secondary is just bad right now. It's for some reason it's just not working that we're used to with Alabama. But this Tennessee defense is so explosive and good, it's really hard to argue against Texas defense. I mean, Alabama's defense trying to stop Tennessee's offense. Like it was a great game. It was just a back and forth shootout. It was fun. It was something that you want. And it's funny because Joe Clapp mentioned this on his show. And I like to reference his favorite talking head in the country because he's pretty much level. But this was the stuff that the Big 12 got ridiculed for by SEC fans all the time. Just like you said, you get pitchforks and all of that stuff and torches, and you're ready to fire everybody. Sucks because they can't defend anybody, but the SEC can't either. Like it's once that high octane offenses really got going in the SEC, you don't see them playing defense like that, like you think. It's more so teams are the top teams for they're good, they're dominant, they're gonna do their thing regardless. The question is, can you keep up? And so looking at like Tennessee's still coming for them, they literally have one game left that they truly have to be concerned about actually stopping somebody. That's Georgia. They don't really have to worry about stopping anybody against Kentucky because I like Will Levers, but he can't outdo Hendon Hooker in this game, especially explosive as his Tennessee offense is. No. You got Georgia coming. That's really the only game because outside of that, it's Missouri, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. They'll be able to do that on all of those teams. They're going to be able to score on all of them. They're going to be able to just go do anything at will against them. They literally need to prepare themselves for the SEC title game the way that they're going to go unless they lose to Georgia. But then honestly, I don't think Stetson Bennett this defense. I think the Tennessee defense is good enough to make it difficult for him. Overall, their offense is what you're not going to stop. I mean, don't go man-to-man against them because they will dust you. They've proven it. If you go too high, they'll just run it down your throat with small. It's literally what the Tennessee offense is. It's just they're like, that's what you want to do? You want to force us to run the ball down the middle? Sure. We'll get to Jalen Wright. Yeah. We'll have Hendon Hooker run it as a QB draw play on his own. We'll even give it to Small and Fant. And who's that? Princeton Fant. They'll run it down your throat. So this is a fun Tennessee team. I'm excited to see it. But I got a question for you on this, though. 15 years in the Saban experience. We've seen him win his 6 titles. He's out here cooking and doing his thing. Are we at the point now where Bama fans should be concerned that we're hitting the end of the road for the Saban dynasty?
Yes. I will say that, unequivocally, I think that this year isn't it. I don't think so. But you got to look at Dallas Turner, Willie Anderson are going to be jetting out to the NFL draft this year. And they ran Jay Valai off. We accepted him with open arms. And now you're seeing their defensive backs battling guys like that. They're no longer top 5 draft pick, conversations. Here's what I think is Nick Saban did it so precisely for so long and a lot of people caught on to what was going on. Do I think Georgia is the next Alabama? I don't. I don't think it's that way. And the reason why is because they're running out a quarterback in Stetson Bennett, who is just managing stuff super effectively.
Right.
They haven't had a top guy, as running back. Now, you might have to remind me on the tight end's name because that guy he is the man. And but when it comes down to it, the SEC has upgraded in a lot of the smaller pockets. Used to have a Kentucky, a South Carolina, a Vanderbilt, maybe one of the Mississippi schools that were garbage, and you could just roll over them for 4 wins, or could throw Arkansas in there too. But every single one of them have gone out, got a good coach, have done things the correct way, and now you don't get a given 4 or 5 wins a year through some of these doormats. Now we've still got doormats, but you're having to work for it every single year. And that's what a lot of you fans need to realize is you can't roll into Missouri, who's 2-4, and think we're just going to run over them, because they're going to put up a fight. So I think that Nick Saban is probably going to look at things long and hard. I don't know who the next person up is, because he's ran so many people through there and pressed them to a level of excellence that they've not wanted to stick around. I don't know if you give, Kirby Smart's not coming back to Alabama. That's not happening.
Right.
McElroy's not going to come in and coach Alabama. That's not going to happen. Bill O'Brien's not going to stick around. So I would say that if we were doing this in 2025, OU's running into the SEC. If Nick Saban's there, it's the end of Notre Dame. It's the end of Penn State with Joe Pa. You're going to see an old man who is just holding on for dear life, trying to stay relevant.
It's a fascinating take on that. So I'm the opposite of it. I don't think this is the end of the Saban dynasty. I think that Saban's going to figure it out and do what he does best, as being Nick Saban. He's going to adapt. And the adaptation that Nick Saban does is he lets his assistants go get other jobs. That's been the thing. He's been a conveyor belt of new coaches out of there. This is similar, if you think about it. Go back to 2000 with Bob Stoops and look at all the coaches that were leaving every so many years to get other jobs, from Kevin Wilson to Mark Mangino, Kevin Sumlin, Josh Heupel, even though we ran him out of here, but you saw a lot of the coaches that was in there, they would leave, get other jobs and do their own thing and get head coaching gigs and move around. So Stoops was dealing with having to replace people on his staff constantly, just like Saban does now, but Saban does it in more in a strategic way. He builds a guy up, gets him a job, then brings in a disgraced coach in his school of rehabilitation. We make the joke, but that's really what he does. Bring him in as an analyst, pay him $10,000 a year, humble him, and then he brings him in as a coach to help modify and modernize a lot of his offenses. I mean, that was a big thing with Lane Kiffin. He got Lane Kiffin for cheap, brought him in. He basically modernized his offense, and now we have this juggernaut of an offense that, they have, going into all these, from Jalen Hurts down the line to Tua and all of this jazz. So I think that he'll do that. Bill O'Brien will probably be gone. Scott Frost will probably end up down there for a bit as his offensive coordinator, which is going to be a monstrous hire. I would like that Oklahoma try to get him instead, but we'll see. Yeah. And then defensively, hell, he may pick up the phone and call Matt Rule and say, hey, man, I know you got a $40 million buyout from the Panthers, but if you get a job somewhere else, the difference in pay, that takes away from Carolina paying you. I'll bring you in as just an analyst for a couple years. You can come out here, chill, collect your money, keep your mind fresh, and get the job of your choice in like a year or two. Would you be interested?
Name does this just rises.
Oh, just elevates because you're underneath Saban again. So strategically, the man's going to figure out a way to make that happen again. And then I'd say he's going to coach until he's about 80, because I don't think he wants to retire just because this is his life. So at that point,
he knows what else to do.
Right. Like, what else is he going to do? Sleep, read a book, Yeah, no. He's gonna take advantage of the opportunity of bringing in younger, some veteran coaches with his young guys and develop them and keep pushing them out. So I don't think the Saban dynasty's done, but I do think that there is more parity in college football since NIL has come into the door and the transfer portal has shown up in comparison to years past. That's the biggest complaint for everybody is that, I don't like the transfer portal or the NIL. Kids are going for money, blah blah blah. I don't care. I'm glad they're getting paid. I'm glad they actually leaving and going places where they can actually play. I didn't like Alabama having a stable of 5-stars sitting 7 or 8 deep every year. Now they don't really want to do that because these kids would rather go out there and actually play somewhere. Even though playing 1 year really good at Alabama will get you drafted in the first round. They don't need more than 1 year film. But if you have opportunity to play 2 or 3 years, a lot of these kids are like, I'd rather go do that and play somewhere else. So we're seeing that now, which is good. But at the same time, they'll probably readjust their recruiting and get better. So thank you for checking us out here on Unfair Sports on the YouTube channel. Please hit the like and subscribe button before you go. And like I said, share because sharing is caring. And with that, chop it up in a day or two. Peace.